I thought I'll do this for fun and educate people as well, because it could be interesting. To briefly summarise, I went vegan because of empathy, because I viewed myself as being in the animal situation, being exploited, used, and obviously abused because of systematic practices, and then murdered. And there's no suffering that we humans have that is equatable to that. No amount of trauma or anything. Even in a case of slavery, I don't think you could even equate that to what happens to animals. It's that bad. And that's really a powerful reason there about why I went vegan. There's a lot of people going vegan for different reasons, but I think documentaries on it are probably good. Like, to be clear, like something like Dominion, that is evidence based. I realised this when I was, thinking about it, like why I went vegan. All the things they show exist because people have put them in a situation where that happens. And even if it doesn't happen, they've put them in a situation where it can happen. Like, they're in a vulnerable state, even by virtue of being an animal to begin with. You are complicit so long as you're contributing to their existence. And there's no escaping that. So anyway, I've spent a lot of time sort of listening to arguments against and for veganism. It's been interesting. I've mainly been trying to find effective ways to change people, to show, or just convince them to go vegan. I think the environmental argument is a good one and probably is under the category of ethical veganism to an extent. Health can be, but not as big as an impact. Anyway, I've debunked a lot of anti-vegan stuff anyway, and random nonsense. There it is. Oh god. So it says against the cult of veganism. When you look at what a cult is, it usually implies there's some sort of harm being done. Like there's either a deity or some followed thing you have to follow to the T, or you're just not in that cult. There's a lot of different factors, like I think even in political spaces like leftists, they have cultist sort of behaviours where they condemn you for something, and yeah, that's pretty much a cult. So it depends on the amount of people who've prescribed to that behaviour that is. With veganism you definitely can't find a cult behaviour. Like when the intent is to harm people, that's when it is a cult. So the fact people make these anti-things without a good reason for it actually shows that their position is obviously wrong and they're just doing this for like, I don't know what the term is. It's like the umbrella term, but like a group thing. Herd mentality, I don't know. They just hide behind people in a group, like stick together, and they just feel like safe, maybe. No, you're not actually, because veganism still has very challenging arguments that I doubt we can even challenge in 100 years. It requires dismantling reality to actually argue against veganism because of the sentience animals. On the right it says about what it is. Opposed to the ideology, kind of accurate, but it is a moral philosophy, actually. It includes ex-vegans there, which is interesting. Most ex-vegans usually go ex-vegan because of arbitrary reasons. I got a blood test recently, actually, and I'm experiencing a ton of health issues, but it's not because of a nutrient deficiency or necessarily what I'm eating. It is completely stress and anxiety related, and I'm still waiting for the diagnosis, but UK healthcare sucks. So I don't actually know what it is at the moment. The point is that they don't use science, and my blood test came back clean, there's no problems. Anyway, food porn recipes news. Yeah. So the first thing there is the copy pasta. I've already read through this, I think, and I think others have. I think other people have also debunked it, even non-vegans for that matter. That's because most of the things on here are like reaching, and I think some of the sources haven't been read, which is quite laughable, to be honest. You don't put things like out there as evidence without reading it. It's like saying flat Earth is real, but you haven't got the evidence for that. But your evidence is just a picture. It's a picture of a flat Earth. Like, what? What's trying to study the vegan Bible? What? The wording in this is just dumb as well, I think. What? Why is that a vegan Bible? It doesn't make sense. The Bible has to be a holy scripture. And the China Study is a book on the health of China. Why China was so healthy. At least before industrialization and animal agriculture. It's just weird. Also, I have to say that some vegans also do this thing. That they don't read something, or maybe they read the headline, or maybe they just assume something's bad. I forgot to address the banner. It's a picture of animal flesh. It doesn't bother me. I'm actually not much of an animal lover, exactly. I found it hard to like animals. That is complicated. I've been attacked by dogs before. It's quite scarring. And also, just the size of animals and maybe the sensory issues they cause me. But there's no reason to condemn them to something like animal agriculture. So just get on with the post. Also, it's just not offensive when you post meat. Whatever you're trying to do with that is just it's not offensive. If anything, it reminds them of why they're vegan, and you actually only support veganism through that. Humans are herbivores. This one made me laugh when I first saw it. Because of the eyes, like the eyes on predators are front facing, but the eyes on herbivores are on the side. But actually, I don't think they are herbivores. I think deers might be omnivores. But even then, omnivores can have either type of eyes. But it's not restricted to them. It's interesting they didn't include a dog there. Maybe because they knew that dogs are omnivores. And it's a bit silly. The other point is if someone does look like that, what's the problem? Like if that was real, why would it matter? when you base people's like anything off of looks, you're always going to make wrong conclusions and just make people miserable and unhappy. Like you're actively violent, I could say. Be a hero. Supposedly this cow's farting a lot and ruining the environment, so I eat it. You're welcome. Be a hero, eat meat. Yeah, I'm pretty sure people have debunked that already. But the problem isn't just the farts. You know, the problem... This is the dumb thing about most of these things. The cows exist. Why do they exist? You pay for them to be bred into existence. So you buy and eat them, which further makes them exist. Like, it doesn't make sense. And also it takes a few years, I think, to make a beef cattle or something. And that costs a lot of money and also crops and water and transportation. Like, all that contributes to environmental factors. That's why it's so unsustainable. So you can't actually be a hero by eating meat. You have to actually avoid it. And that's just logic. And bits and bobs of what I know about animal agriculture. But yeah, you can reach these conclusions logically. Veganism, how to do it right, calories, fibre and B12 supplement. I don't get this. What the fuck is that thing? High mileage protection vehicles over motor oil. What? Wood? Never seen that vegan B12. This one just went over my head, I don't know what it is. I think oil is supposed to be high in calories. I don't know what the wood is supposed to be. The B12 is like a supplement, but even then, you have to make the argument that a supplement isn't natural. So like, make an argument why you shouldn't take it. Fix that. Yeah. AntiVegan crop depths are made of. Here we go again in the same cycle. Instant on crop depths are a thing meat eaters made up to keep from having to think about the consequences of their own diets. If that's all we've got, I'm done. To be honest, that's actually, like, the vegan is wrong, to make that clear. Crop depths aren't made up actually. Like, they're very real. And with like things like pesticides, obviously there's insect death there. Maybe rodent death, you know. Basically invasive animals and things like that. The reason why the vegan is wrong here is because they've claimed it's made up. It definitely isn't. I can assure you of that. As usual with industrial farming, it's done for efficiency. You don't have a rainforest to grow crops. Those crops are fed to animals and sometimes us. There's not much different. Even though the problem with crop deaths is more prevalent in an omnivore diet or carnivore because of the animal products. Animal science. Dogs are less aggressive when on a vegan diet. Because being lethargic and tired will lead to less aggression. What? I don't get this, but if I had to guess, like, without reading that poster that's linked, it's to do with the sort of scent of blood, maybe. I know dogs attack living creatures anyway, because that's sort of their instinct. If you stop feeding them that, I could see that maybe they'd be less interested. because they'll find their hunger elsewhere. I don't know. There's also a lot of problems with studies like this. There's different factors that make it wrong or make no sense. The one thing I can think of in a study like this, I guess, is like, was the dog born in the family? Like, newborn, like a puppy. I don't think the other thing I forgot. Yeah, I guess like if they've never smelt the scent of blood or meat, I think that could influence it. It's not flawed. I think it could be inaccurate in describing the behaviours. Yeah, I don't know. It's actually posted on there, but Creative Dominion running for Senate in Victoria, Australia, with the Animal Justice Party. What? What's the problem with this? I don't get it. This is the problem with the titles and some of this shit. They're only titles. Like the one sentence. There's no flair either, so I don't know what this is supposed to be. Given the oh dear at the end. I'm guessing someone's made this look like a problem without describing why it's a problem. As usual, that's the AntiVegan way. The vegan store shutting down, a sign of more things to come, question mark. Yeah, the vegan kind, expensive as shit, but useful at times. Just description box. I've been there a lot. But the reasons for shutting down are definitely not the same as like what you would want them to be, I guess. You want it to shut down because it wasn't successful. That isn't the reality. Like in the UK, there's a cost of living crisis and an energy crisis. So they're obviously shutting down for economic reasons. I've read it anyway, so they said something like that, I think. But it's not a sign of more things to come, it's just a matter of whether businesses can keep up. And vegan going couldn't. Do you think something will be like in the future? I think it'll increase. Because of how inherent traits make its way into law and stuff. Animals will be granted rights, eventually. What do you guys think of people who do public speeches? Because like Earthling is in there, who's that? Do public speeches here and there, talking about lifestyle. For some speeches that she held in school in front of gullible children. How insane is that? What do you think about that? The comment in schools, child abuse and coercion. I wonder if the parents of these kids think of him doing that. What? Okay, that made no sense. So he's saying that it's child abuse and coercion, but he's saying what he's doing is that, like, I don't know. Or is he implying that, I think just, I won't say what he does. You know, doing unsavoury things. Which I doubt. There's no problem with public speeches, really. A lot of random people get to do public speeches, even farmers actually, who work in factory farms, I think. But the problem is what do they accomplish? But for farmers, it's probably to sell a product. For vegans, it's some of the idea that animals shouldn't be harmed, shouldn't be exploited. So how is this child abuse, exactly? I was teaching compassion child abuse. You need to listen to what you say before you say them. Dingus. There are enough health concerns that Beyond Meat plant. Photos and internal documents of Beyond Meat plant in Pennsylvania show about mold. Well, I guess that's concerning, but I don't know what to say to that. Like, factories probably do it all the time. Yes, it's a health concern, and it definitely needs to be addressed, but, you know, why does that matter? I'm trying to think of a way to put this. I mean, it's just one plot as well. That's the thing. That's going to happen. It's good to be vegans, child abuse. Vegans don't actually defend a vegan parent who's gross. Look, there's this term that we use in general, not just for animals. It's called doing what's in their best interest. And for children and them growing up, it's in their best interest to obviously not murder and exploit animals. They can decide when they're adults whether that's right or wrong. The point here is that you need to take a stand to an extent. Because you'd just be paying for murder and exploitation. And think about when I was a child and all the meat I used to eat. I think it's abusive actually. I got fat from it. I was definitely unhealthy, out of shape. And I think that's more abusive than being fed vegetables. Yeah, there's not much to debunk about that really. It's just about doing what's in a child's best interest. Like, if you have to, say, pin them down to sort of help them at the dentist, you have to do that. Because that's for their long-term health benefit. That's horrible in the moment. And maybe vegan diets for them are horrible. But they'll grow up and hopefully realise that that was the right thing to do. Like, all actions have consequences, but doing the least amount of harm is better. You know, this place again. The B12 deficiency. Fuck's sake. I will say it though, there are definitely stupid parents out there. It's not strictly vegan parents, although most are usually good. Because the parents will just do random shit, do their children for them. That's not good. There's a lot of mishandling. I definitely experienced it. But the B12 thing is solved by supplements. That's just no excuse. Oh, it's been interesting. I think that's the last one. It was worse. I'll read it through, I won't read it out. Vegan Games passed, yeah. He's already apologised and apparently made friends with that kid. He didn't wish death on the guy who lost his dad. He laughed at it, and that's still wrong. That's a fucking straw man. Jesus Christ, get your facts right. Wishes every meat eater to die. No, it doesn't. Find proof. Wishes father to stick cancer. Wishes mother's death. So he could get insurance money, I don't remember that. accusing Tash Peterson of harassing and bullying people. No, again, this is like, what does she accomplish? What is she trying to accomplish, actually? It's not bullying or harassing. It's making a scene and screaming in public, yes. But so long as you make it out like that, you're not actually going to remove her. You're not going to remove anyone doing that thing. You know, all the pointless insults you throw don't change anyone. Well, the topic of that was what? If she doesn't, did you even watch her videos? It's called shouting. I don't know if you know the term. So, the choice is now vegan teacher, Tash, through the vegan gains. I'd have to pick the worst one, it'd actually be that vegan teacher, to be honest. Not everyone but Freely, who I don't know that much about, is fine, for the most part. The problem with vegan teacher is that some of her facts are wrong, and her ideas are stupid sometimes. And her channel has become more of a reason to just not listen, I guess. Like, she thinks she's doing activism, but it's not actually working. It might get people's attention, but what she's doing actually doesn't get the right attention. And because it's mostly React videos, I think, it's not actually proving a point anywhere. I think her TikToks were good when she was doing the cringy singing. I think everything else is just downhill. Definitely, she tricks a lot of people actually. Like, she made a video on PewDiePie, and he reacted to her. Then she reacted to him making a video to do activism, basically. That is clever. There should be more of that. She seems to have stopped, I guess. Yeah, I think that's it though. That's enough of that. It's as usual, it's dumb that the only one interesting post there is the crop test thing. Like, it's straight up a conspiracy theory thing, there isn't crop tests. It's completely delusional. It's like another thing that some vegans have fallen into. Not the whole foods plant-based thing, which is another issue. But the comparing teeth thing and biology. But for some reason, some vegans think we're herbivores as humans, which is false. And even we have anecdotal evidence to prove that's false. There's many meat eaters who do not get ill, who do not experience any problems. And there's different reasons for why. It could be exercise, it could be a good diet. The point there is that even without evidence that we're not herbivores, we're just omnivores. But you know, anti-vegan shit probably says that we're carnivores. I don't know. I forgot to say, anarchists say that I'm wrong or right even. More for healthy debate, as long as it's in good faith. Just that some things are worth responding to debunk them. Also to maybe like give a skill to, you know, talk about these things and refute them.